So my name's Matt Miller. I taught for more than 10 years in little bitty schools in West Central Indiana, teaching all levels of high school Spanish. And after I did that, I pivoted to some opportunities to work with schools and school districts to help them implement technology effectively and meaningfully. And so I do a lot of that right now, although I was back in the classroom here recently teaching Spanish all over again. And my book is called AI for Educators. It's my sixth book that I've written, and it's a very sort of practical primer into what K-12 educators need to know about artificial intelligence, some of its implications on the classroom, how it can be used, and how we can prepare students for a future that AI is a big part of. Yeah, so it gives sort of a general idea about what artificial intelligence is all about and how it works. And, you'll learn things like, that artificial intelligence does a lot of predicting things based on statistical averages, right? So whatever the statistical majority is, it usually skews in that direction, which can be good, but it can also be problematic. And when we start to understand that, we start to understand the outputs that it creates a little bit better. And generative artificial intelligence is being used all over K-12 education, from teachers generating lesson plans and ideas to students engaging with chatbots to, creating media like audio and video and images with artificial intelligence. And there are all of these sort of like ethical and responsible questions that we should be asking ourselves about should we use this and how we should use it. One of the biggest questions in, especially in middle school and high school, is at what point does it become cheating? Does it become like overreach and overuse so that it doesn't help students? And I think there's too many school districts that are focusing too much on that overreach issue and not asking themselves, how can we prepare students to responsibly navigate the future that they're going to have, where AI is probably going to be a big part of it? And that sort of goes around to the end of the book, which starts to do a little bit of future facing and going, what is this future going to look like? And what skills do we need to prepare students with today? I'm a big believer that a lot of the, problem solving skills and giving students opportunities to be flexible and adaptable and gritty even, all of those things are going to prepare them to adapt and survive and thrive in this future where AI is really going to change a lot of things around, and we got to be prepared for it. One way that I think we can use some of the generative AI tools to get students thinking, because I think that's one of the big misconceptions, is that AI is just going to make us stupid. And I mean, if we misuse it or we use it in the wrong ways, then it certainly can. But I think it can really drive student thinking forward and give them food for thought. And one little quick activity that I always like to do in my workshops with teachers that I also love in the classroom with students is this activity called Be the Bot. And so the idea behind Be the Bot is that we've been studying something, and I'm going to ask AI to make a judgment call about that content. The example that I like to do a lot of times with teachers and workshops is to say, okay, let's pretend that I'm a tourist in your city. I'm going to ask the AI, what are the top 10 places that I need to visit while I'm in town? But before I ask AI that, I'm going to ask you as the human that. And so then I give them a little bit of time to brainstorm and think about it. And of course, this has classroom applications related to, like what are the top 5 reasons that it would be great to live in this particular biome? Or what are the top 5 most important historical innovations of this period? Or who are the top 5 most influential characters in this book that we've been reading? See, it goes all the way across no matter what you teach. And so you have students kind of like brainstorm their own list, and then you ask AI, and then you have them kind of like compare and contrast. And it does a couple of things, I think, really nicely. First of all, it engages them in the content that they're studying. Secondly, it promotes higher order thinking because they have to judge something and they have to rank it and they have to justify their rankings and everything. But it also does teach a lot of AI literacy at the same time too, because we can go back and look at the prompt and ask, did the AI get it right? Is there something that we could kind of poke holes in? And how could we adjust the prompts to get a little bit different response? And how are we uniquely equipped as humans to be able to do this work in a different way than the AI can? So anyway, that's sort of a quick strategy that I love to encourage teachers to do that gets students thinking. Yeah, so I'm still continuing to publish my email newsletter, my Ditch That Textbook email newsletter. I've also started a new weekly newsletter for school leaders about AI, and so I've been continuing to do that. I'm starting to look at the possibility of a book project about AI literacy, but it's still sort of in the early stages and everything. But those are definitely some of the things that I'm thinking about. Of course, my email newsletter is probably the best way to get practical ideas and get some good free stuff that you can use in class tomorrow. So people can go to ditch.link/join to sign up for that newsletter and get a bunch of free teaching resources that they can use right away.